What's up everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking all about the COROS VERTIX 2. This is the update from the original VERTIX 1, and I have a lot of opinions about this, so let's get into it. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking this video out. I do want to let you know that COROS sent this watch out to me for review. I've only had it for a couple weeks and I have to send it back. Also, this video isn't going to be a huge deep dive into every single spec and feature that this watch has. There's a lot, and there's plenty of videos out there already that do walk through every single feature that this has. With my reviews, my watch reviews, I like to focus on kind of a headline of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 things that are really important to me that make a difference in how I use it as a trail and ultra runner. Jumping in, we're going to talk about 5 things that I really like about this watch, and then 3 things that I don't like, and then a bunch of stuff at the end that's kind of like random, like here or there. It's not really a like or a dislike, just things that you need to know about the COROS VERTIX 2. Okay, so first thing that I like about this watch is the big headline, the battery life. The advertised 140-hour battery life in the regular GPS mode is incredible. Like, it just blows everything else away. Something to know about that boasted battery life though is that that's with the standard GPS mode. I think a lot of people will just do just fine with that. If you want even more accuracy, you can choose the next level, which is all systems on, which kind of talks to 5 different satellite systems. But then if you want even more accuracy, if you're in really technical situations or in a really dense urban environment, you can go to all systems on plus dual frequency, which kind of acts like having 2 GPS watches and like combining the data and finding exactly where you are. But most people are really going to do just fine with the standard GPS mode and the 140 hours of battery life. The next big thing that I really like about this watch is the ease of entry. And this is really kind of like a COROS thing, but if you're coming from any other brand, getting a COROS watch, and specifically the VERTIX 2, is going to be a really easy experience. If you have a smartphone, the app is pretty much the brains of this watch. It's a really easy app to understand. The watch itself, the UI, is really easy to navigate. There's just 2 buttons. There's a light button and a back button, and then the digital crown, which you can press in and turn. Getting into how to use this watch for your first time, it's really, really easy. And that's one thing that I really do appreciate with COROS. There are some other brands out there that make it kind of difficult to learn how to use the watch and all the features. With this, you pretty much can rely on the app, and you don't have to do as much of the little changing of details on the watch itself. Most of that can be done on your phone, which is pretty easy for most of us to do nowadays that we're all used to staring at our phones for like 10 hours a day. The next really big thing that I like about this watch is the implementation of Topo and landscape maps on the watch itself. It's really awesome to see what's around you while you're running at a glance on your wrist, whether that be trails or roads or bodies of water. You can zoom in and out. You can kind of navigate back and forth. When you're in the map mode, it is a touch screen, so you can kind of swipe back and forth. So huge, awesome implementation from COROS. Big thumbs up from me for putting it on the VERTIX 2. But while I'm saying that this is something I like, it's a huge step in the right direction for COROS. I do wish that it was implemented a little bit differently. It is really great, but it is also slow and kind of clunky to use. While you're swiping with your finger, it takes a while to load. There's a bunch of times where it got just really jittery and it would just kind of like bounce back and forth, and it was really actually hard to see what was around me. It really feels like it's a beta feature that's not ready for the market yet. So much so that I don't know if I would actually be able to like realistically use this in a situation where I needed maps and I needed to get somewhere without having my phone. I really only think that this could be used kind of in the moment where you need just a really small bit of information to see like which way to turn, or if you're on a big loop through a city or something and you want to see if you're kind of going in the right direction. It could be really useful in those situations. The maps are also a manual download from COROS's website, and at this point there is no way to get any smaller than just like your whole continent. And then it took 2 hours to transfer from my computer via USB to the COROS VERTIX 2. So there's no automatic updates, it's all manual. So you are relying on the open street data, and I did find a couple examples of trails that I run all the time and kind of neighborhoods that are new where it's just not on this map that was downloaded. There's also no street names, which could be kind of important in certain situations, and there's also no left-right turn features or notifications that pop up while you're using it. There is one awesome feature though with maps that you can, if you're a premium user on Strava, you can draw your routes on Strava, and then you can import them into your COROS watch. Previously, you had to use a third-party website or something else like that a lot of us don't really go to very often, not familiar with, or you had to download a GPX file from maybe your race director's website to get a route on your watch. But now, if you're a Strava premium user, it's really fast, really easy, and really simple to draw custom routes and get them onto your watch. So to summarize this point, it is a really awesome feature that COROS finally has on their watch: real topo and landscape maps on your wrist. That's awesome. The implementation with Strava is great, but if you're buying this watch specifically for the mapping features, I just want you to know that it's kind of limited right now. I hope that COROS decides to upgrade this and really focus on this in the future and make it really, really great for us to use. All right, the fourth thing that I really like about the new COROS VERTIX 2 is the screen. It is bigger, it's brighter, it's easier to read because you can get a lot more information on there with bigger font sizes than the original VERTIX. It's not the brightest or most contrasted screen out there. There are others on the market that are better than the VERTIX 2, but COROS did a really great job moving from the VERTIX to the VERTIX 2. Also, it's a sapphire glass, so you're going to be protected against scratches, and it's going to be more durable all around. And the last thing that I'd like about the VERTIX 2 compared to the VERTIX 1 is the increase in GPS accuracy. And I already kind of touched on this a little bit when we were talking about the battery life, but having the dual frequency chipset, having the all systems on, it is really good. And compared to the VERTIX 1, there are some situations where it performed quite a bit better. I don't really have any huge rock formations or anything like that to go around. There were some situations where it wasn't absolutely perfect. I was running by Mackey Arena, the basketball stadium, and this is a perfectly straight line, and I made sure that I was right on the wall and I ran perfectly straight during this whole time. And you can see that it does drift a little, but I think most of us are going to be just fine with the standard mode and get the most out of the battery life. So moving on to things that I don't like about this watch, there are three big things that I wanted to point out that possibly might make this watch a no-go for you if you're interested in buying a new GPS watch. The first one is that there is no Ant Plus functionality on this watch. You can't connect to any Ant Plus devices, which automatically it rules out a lot of people, especially a lot of triathletes. I know if I was still doing Ironman, I wouldn't be able to use this watch because it wouldn't connect to my power meter, which is Ant Plus only. Honestly, there are pros and cons to both. I don't think that in the future everything's gonna move to Bluetooth because there are a lot of situations where Ant just works better. There are a lot of accessories that are Ant only, so that's something that you have to know. If you have especially a power meter, if you're a triathlete, you're not gonna be able to use this watch. It's not gonna be able to get power for your bike. The second big dislike I have about this watch is the weight, size, and shape. For a lot of you out there, you're just not going to be able to comfortably wear this watch. It's the heaviest watch I have. It's the biggest watch I have. It's also the watch with the most corners and edges that I have. I feel like I have a pretty average size wrist for a guy, and I wasn't able to really comfortably wear this watch for more than a couple hours at a time. When I weighed this watch, it was 88.7 grams with the band on, and with the band off, the watch itself, 62.2 grams. And there's no getting around that. It's a big, bulky, heavy watch. For us ultra runners running 100, 200 milers, wearing a watch like this for 24, 48, 96 hours maybe, I don't know how I would be able to actually handle that. I think that I would get tired of it real quick. And the third dislike that I have about this watch is the heart rate monitor. I feel like the VERTIX 1 really didn't work for me at all. The heart rate monitor was all over the place. The VERTIX 2, I did not see a big improvement with the heart rate monitor. And this is a very personal thing. It's gonna be different for everybody, so I know that going into this. There's some people out there that have commented on my previous videos that say that their COROS watches measure their heart rate perfectly. I'm just not one of those people. With this price tag, I wish COROS would have invested just a little bit more into creating a watch that had a much more accurate heart rate monitor, because a lot of us ultra runners are really focused on keeping our heart rate in a certain range for certain amounts of time, making sure that we're not overextending ourselves during these big 100 milers. And finally, I'm gonna go through a couple things that I wish were different with a $700 watch. And I'm gonna nitpick a little bit, but most of these things could be changed with a firmware upgrade, and I know COROS is going to watch this video, so Here we go. First one, the backlight functionality. It doesn't really work how I want it to. I wish there was a better sleep mode. I wish that when it was in button press only, the light would turn on when I pressed any of the buttons. That's not the case. The next thing, and this is a really big thing, but definitely can be changed in a firmware upgrade, is that if you have an accessory paired to this watch, like say a heart rate monitor, or in my case, it was a stride pod. The day before I had done a treadmill workout and I had paired my stride pod with it to make sure that all that worked well. It all worked fine, but then the next day I did a run outside and didn't take my stride pod with me. All my cadence and my pace stayed 0 for the entire run. And that was really frustrating because all my other watches, and even the Vertix 1, as soon as it lost connection with an accessory, it just started pulling the data from the watch itself. Definitely can be changed in a firmware upgrade though. The other big thing that was advertised a whole lot with the Vertix 2 was music streaming to Bluetooth headphones, and it just doesn't really work very well, especially in 2021. The technology in here is about 10 years late. You have to actually upload manually MP3s from your computer to your Vertix 2. I don't know anyone that listens to music like that anymore, so yeah, it has music streaming, but not really in 2021. All right, let's wrap this thing up though. Who's this watch for? What's the deal? Is it worth it? Should you buy it now? So I think this watch is definitely aimed at ultra runners or people that are doing maybe stage races, or also anyone that just really wants the absolute best battery life, doesn't like charging your watch. I think you are getting a really good watch though. I think $700 is fair for the actual physical product you're getting. The battery life is amazing. It's very reliable. The app functionality, it's just fast. While I do think that some of the features are kind of half-baked or maybe feel like they're beta implementations, I think those can get better over time. It checks a lot of the boxes that us ultra runners are asking for, and I think the biggest thing that you're gonna have to look out for is if it actually fits on your wrist, because like I said before, it is a big watch, it's bulky and it's heavy. So if you try it on and it feels good, then I think you're gonna be really happy with this watch. So that's it for me and my review of the COROS VERTIX 2 as someone that has come from the Vertix 1 and also has a lot of the watches that this Vertix 2 is competing against. Once again, thank you to COROS for sending this out for me to review, and thank you to you for stopping by this video and watching it to the very end. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.